Hey, welcome back to class. Let's go ahead and we're gonna get started with some footwork. So this is gonna be part of our warm-up. We're gonna start first with our reverse triangle. Just trying to stay nice and light on our feet. Hold a stick, one stick or two sticks, whatever you want. You just want something in your hands so you practice moving it around and not hitting your head each time you come up to pump your arms. We're clearing our head as we're going around. I can go off that line. And now let's do forward triangles. You can switch your hands every now and then, which hand holds the stick. You can move off that line. Change the way that I'm looking. Okay, let's go ahead and let's do the 6-pointed star. So it's that reverse triangle, and then 2 lateral movements, and then the forward triangle. Then we step up and through and start on the other side of that star. Going. Take a breath in and out. Big arm circles. Going towards the back. And forward arm circles. Trunk twists. All right, so first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna review our 8 angles of striking. So right foot in front, hold the stick in your right hand, and angle 1. I want you to put a little bit of hip turn into this, but I want these nice and fluid. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can do whichever version of 7 I would like to do. Right now, I just really want you practicing the angles though. Right? I want you seeing those angles as you strike. Now remember, I can change the height of my striking angles, right? So I can have all of them striking up here, but I'm still drawing that same picture, right? Whenever I'm doing it, I'm creating that 8-pointed star. So I want you to see that, even if I'm striking down low, right? So I could be striking down to the knee, but this is still an angle 1, even though it's significantly lower. If I was hitting my target down here, boom, it's still an angle 1 because of that direction. It's just, I dropped it. Normally I'm aiming right through the center, somebody that's kind of right in front of me, but if I drop that star down, I'm still hitting this angle 1 and 2, they're just low strikes. This would be my 3 and my 4. They're still going horizontal with reference to my shoulder. It's just at this lower plane instead of up here. So I want you to be aware of that. They can change, but it's still the same angles. So 1 through 8, keep going. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's go ahead and switch hands, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now I'm gonna keep doing this, and I'm gonna try to have a swoosh sound. And now a swoosh sound doesn't actually mean that I have to go harder or faster. I'm kind of just relaxing. I put a little bit into it, but it's not quite that, right? But I want to cut the air. So instead of going here, I have no cutting of the air at this speed. I want to go just fast enough that I can hear a swoosh, right? But still not a full power swoosh, just to where you begin to hear it. Go ahead. And now you might not hear me doing it. My microphone might not pick it up. Maybe it does. I'm not sure. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to practice redondos. We're specifically just going to do backhand redondos today. What's redondo? So this is a redondo strike. Okay, so the redondo strikes that we're going to do today are going to be on angle 8. Okay, so they strike right down that center line. Now redondo just means circular, right? So these are circular strikes. A redondo strike is a circular strike. You see how I'm making this big circle as I do this? Right here. Now, backhand, because it's coming from the number 2 side. And when you're setting this up, I used to do this a lot, and someone kind of pointed it out to me, and now when I see people do it, I try to hit their arms. But I used to set up like this, right? Kind of leading with my elbow and having this back here, and I would get hit here. Instead, lead with the hand for the redondo. Right? And sometimes you'll bring it back and it does come back over here, but if you're just chilling here, because sometimes you'll get into a position, right, and you're here, I'll go here now, if I'm going to Redondo, instead of being way back here and kind of having this open where if somebody's quick, they can pop it, or as I'm coming out, boom, I get hit right here instead of hitting right here. Now, I use Redondos almost exclusively to hit arms or hands, right? For me, that's what they're really good for. I can put them in really fast after a strike, and we'll work on that, and I can use that for a hand strike. Whenever you're doing this, if you're doing a backhand redondo, you want to make sure that your lead foot is in front, right? It's very hard to do a backhand redondo well like this. Your body just feels wrong. If you want to add power to redondo, you can raise up this front hip, press it forward, and then sink it back, right? Actually, go back the other way, sorry. Go forward with the back hip, and then sink it back. That would be for the other redondo. We'll get there later. So we're here, right? This is how you can add power to it, but for the most part, a redondo should be quicker as opposed to more powerful, in my opinion, right? Of course, there can always be different circumstances, but I believe the redondo should be a faster strike, and that's what I try to train it for. So we're gonna start here, hand into that center. We're gonna be in this side load position. We're going to bring it up, strike down, and then rotate around, just like this. We let it go down, and then we let our wrist kind of tell us when it wants to flip. So, start here, bring it down in front, and just kind of drop your arm, and then where your hand, right, obviously we don't want to stop right here. Our body will tell us like, hey, this is the point. It's usually right down here where I want to flip over, just let it. And so at first, just kind of bring this out and drop it down, and drop it down. I'm kind of making this bigger motion. Later on, we'll kind of have these smaller motions that are more in our wrist, right? Yes, I move my arm still, but a lot of that will be in the wrist. Right now, I want you to just kind of reach out and let it fall down. Reach out and let it fall down. Bring it straight down. Now, I can also do this redondo. This is where I normally do it. I can also do it from up here, right? So maybe I came up. Can I do it from a high load position? Most of the time I will be doing it from a side load or a cross load position, kind of in that area over here. And that's where my redondo strikes will come up from. So let's practice a few more, keep it going. Again, if you want to add some power to it, puts that back hip forward and then sink it back. And that's how you would be able to add some power to it. Again, not as super focused on that. Just want you to kind of get this feeling flowing and when the wrist wants to turn over. So now I want you to tighten it up just a little bit. We're gonna start off closer to our body instead of up here and just letting it fall. We're gonna start off here. I want to push forward, kind of like I'm doing almost like a Wing Chun punch, right? Here, from that center line, my hand's on the center line. I punch here, I cast it out, and then I bring it back as it goes down, right? I do wanna reach out with this some. I don't wanna keep it, while I could do this, right? I'm probably not gonna actually hit. I probably have to get a little bit of a reach with this. I could do that with a little bit of a wave in motion and then wave back out. In tight, push forward, reach out and back. So now instead of raising it up high and dropping it in this giant circular motion, I'm keeping it a little bit tighter and I'm going forward hitting and then down and back to that side load position. Go at whatever pace you need. If you can start to make it swish a little bit, go ahead and do that. And again, I'm going straight down with this. There will be redondos that go at other angles. This is going to be at an angle 8. This is a backhand redondo. This is probably one of the most common that I've seen, at least. I'm not saying other styles don't do other ones a lot more, but typically when you hear a redondo, it's typically this one. course, not always. Swish it a little bit. All right, so now you can see that I'm applying a little bit of hips into it as I'm going for it. Work on that. You don't have to go as fast. Just want you to feel relatively comfortable with it. Still have that blade edge pointed down, right? Knocking knuckles pointed out as I'm striking with this. Okay, let's go ahead and let's switch. Let's try it on the other side. I don't redondo very much with this hand, so if this looks ugly, just rewind and look at the other side and pretend that that was my left hand too. So we can start off with that big motion, just letting it fall down. Try and make it feel as natural as possible when it just comes out and falls. Remember, we're going towards that back leg. Pick a target, try to cut down that target every time you do this. Go nice and slow, raise it up real big, and just let it fall. Let it tell you, let your wrist tell you when it wants to turn over down here. Then raise it up and do it again. Raise it up and do it again. Keep it going. You can start adding a little bit of hip motion right as you're prepping it. Push that back hip forward and then pull it back as you bring it down. If you feel comfortable and you want to get that swish going, you're more than welcome to. If you don't feel comfortable because it's your left hand and you've never done this before, then nice and slow. Up to you. Okay, now let's practice making sure we're starting lower, and instead of raising it up in this really big motion, let's go forward with it. Press forward and down, forward and down. And instead of up and down, this big motion, it's pretty easy to see, right? We're going forward. Press forward, strike, and bring it around. Keep it going. A little bit faster if you can. I feel like the hard part on the non-dominant side is just getting that flip over at the right point. If you just let it go down too hard, right, and we have too much power here, you can disarm yourself. Just pop out of your hand. We don't want that. Okay, let's go ahead and let's switch back to our dominant hand. So like I said, you could practice this one here, or you could practice it up here. If we're already up in this position, then it's okay to do it. Just know that when you're in this position, you're mainly just gonna be striking an angle 8, going either a forehand or a backhand with that angle, and most people know that, right? It's pretty common that if it's up here, well, it's probably gonna come down this way, or it's probably gonna come down this way. Granted, not always, and some people are tricky, but just know that that's pretty common. So if we're here, we have a lot more options, right? I could come up with an angle 6, I could go down with angle 2, I could hit with that angle 4, I could redondo on that angle 8. So I have a lot more options rather than here, which I would have to just go to another position prior to striking or during the strike in order to go, but it's easier to read. So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do angle 1 followed by that backhand redondo. So we're gonna go 1, 2, and then we're gonna use a 2 just as our reset. So I really want you to focus on the 1 and the 2, on the 1 and the redondo, and just have that 2, right? If you want to power strike through it, whatever you want to do there, not as concerned, but I want you to try to chain these 2 together so that they flow really well. So at first we can make this into a bigger motion, and then we're gonna kind of tighten it up as we go. But we strike 1, and then as we get here, instead of going all the way to a cross chamber position, once we get to the side load position, we'll automatically throw that out again, and then we'll throw that 2 for the reset. 1, redondo, 2. 1, redondo, 2. 1. And now as you're doing this, work fluidly, so try not to here, stop, redondo, 2. You can pause after the redondo, but I want your 1 and your redondo to flow together. 1, redondo, 2. So notice how I didn't stop in any position and then go for the redondo. I want flow. 1, redondo, 2. 1, redondo, 2. I want you to go fluid now with this. You don't have to go super fast or super hard. You should feel or hear the swoosh sound if you're just going fluid. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to still focus on that 1 and the redondo. We're going to go for the 1, and before we get all the way down here and flip it over, I want you to pass your target and then small redondo. So it's gonna look like this. Instead of, right, notice how this is bigger motion. I'll show it from the side. You see how much movement is happening at my elbow joint? We're gonna have a smaller motion at the wrist now. Here, flip it at that wrist and down. So again, it should be quicker, right? I don't want power on the 1. I don't actually care about the 1 in this scenario that I'm about to go through with you. So I want here, throw the 1, and then quick on the redondo. I want you to, if you can, accelerate even more. So whatever speed I'm going at the 1, I want to go even faster with that redondo. And then I can hit that 2. Okay, so let me talk about what I would use this for. So a lot of times people block your strike with the same strike. So let's say I'm throwing a 1, you can block my 1 with your 1. And we just hit sticks, right? Boom, clack sticks, blocked. Okay, so it's very common that happens, even untrained people, because this strike is going at the same angle as yours and it's easy to block, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm not actually caring about this first one, and as they're throwing it out, I'm basically just gonna let it either hit or kind of pull it even so I don't hit their stick. And if I don't hit their stick, then I can go even faster. But I want them to either think about trying to hit me with their one and them thinking that I'm blocking with a one, or I want them to think that I'm trying to hit them with my one and them blocking with their one. And now, after that happens, I want to hit their arm. So let's just assume that they're going to go for a 1, 2, which is the most common just striking sequence. 1, 2. Cavemen did it, everyone does it, untrained people do it all the time. So if they go 1, I want to hit their arm right after their 1. So they're going 1, 2. It takes a little bit of time, especially if they're putting power, right? If I put 2 powerful shots, I'm going to go really hard, and I'll try to go relatively fast as well, but I want you to see the time. Again. And now if I go here, it's a little bit faster, right? Especially when they stop caring about that first 1, and I'm hitting that 2. So they're throwing that 1, I'm throwing that 1, I pull it and I hit the redondo. So as soon as they pass, boom, I hit right there on the elbow, the meat of the arm, the wrist, whatever, before that second strike comes. Okay, that's the goal of this specific one. There's obviously other ways that we can even use this, but I want you to think about that, imagine that as you're practicing this. So 1, okay, and then bring it back here if you want to bring it back with a 2. I don't really care if you want to just kind of swoop it back. Again, I want you to focus on the 1 redondo. So now the motion is the smaller wrist turn motion. Boom, boom, and then I bring it back. Here, here. Not a full motion here. This one's more powerful. This one is quicker. So I want you focusing on that quicker one right now. You can start off slow and then go fast. Slow. As soon as we get around that hip, right, flip it over. Around that hip, flip, down. And I still pull through with this and pull my arm back. If I want to have the 2, I can. Maybe I lean back a little bit, boom, as I'm hitting that 1, and then I come in for the 2 to close that distance. I don't want to get hit, boom, I want to hit them. I don't want to get hit, I want to hit them. Okay, that's good. Let's switch. So we'll go back to the bigger motion at first. 1, redondo, and then we'll add that 2 again. 1, redondo, 2. 1, 2, 3. Nice and relaxed. Not working on a lot of speed, but I am working on fluidity. Right? I'm chaining them all together. Not here, here, here. You saw the brokenness in between those 3 strikes. I want them to fluidly flow. I want them to just flow together. One, redondo, 2. 1, redondo, 2. 1, 2, 3. For talking angles, this would be a 1, 8, 2. Lot of power into it and putting fluidity. A little bit of speed comes with being fluid, but I'm not trying to force the speed. I'm just trying to keep everything going together. Don't hold your breath as you're striking. When you start striking really hard, you want to make sure that you're exhaling on each one of these. When I'm kind of flowing like this, I can just dare in or try to breathe as normally as I can. A little hard while I'm talking, but when I'm power, I need to be exhaling. When I'm really exerting that power and putting that muscle tension in there, you need to exhale. If you don't, you're just gonna get tired. And when you get tired, I'm not gonna say you lose, but you definitely don't do as well whenever you get tired. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's work on that motion right here. So here, instead of bringing it all the way for this big motion, I'm gonna go here, and while it's still out in front, go here. One, flip. One, it's out in front, it's near, kind of in front of my hip as you're looking at it. Flips over, boom. And now I don't care about that two again, I want that. Now I have to go slower with this. I can try to speed it up, but left side is, it's not so pretty. But that's what I'm practicing, right? So ugly. At least some of yours looks better than mine. You've been doing this for a while, right? Especially with your left hand. Work on connecting those two together. So you kind of have to relax the wrist, but don't relax the grip too much, or else things just start flying out of your hand, right? So you kind of have to find that sweet spot of how much you can relax your grip without losing your grip. Lose it sometimes, and that's okay, right? As long as it doesn't happen whenever it's a life or death scenario, and hopefully you never get in one of those. That's the only time when it really matters. If it happens in sparring, you just kind of laugh and get hit, and then your partner will probably let you go pick it up after one or two hits. Try to speed up, right? Drop it down for that one, and try to speed it up for the redondo. Take a breath, breathe in and out. Okay. Next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of shift away from the redondo, and we're gonna practice just two angles, right? So we're gonna practice 1, 6, 1, 6. I just want you to get used to this motion. I go down, I come back up that same line. 1, 6, 1, 6. Pull the hip back, push the hip forward. Pull that one back, push it forward. And I could be doing this on footwork pattern if I would like. I could just be moving backward and forward. I could move forward and backward. I can just sit here and practice turning my hips, right? Getting that body connection. Blade edge, blade edge. Remember, after I cut through, and this is fully cutting through my opponent, I can flip it here. Here. Cut through, cut through, cut through, cut through. I want you to hear the whoosh. If if you want to go power shots, you're more than welcome. You can get that exercise in. I just want that swoosh right now. I want that fluidity. I want to be able to feel that change, right? And control. Cutting through and turning after, especially on that 6. The 1's easy. The 6 feels a little bit more difficult to get all the way through before you flip it over. Going up and down that exact same line. Okay, other side. Up and down that same line. Feel the swoosh. Doesn't have to be super powerful. Just feel this motion. 2 or 1, 6. 1, 6, 6. My left hand wants to shift those lines around, so I need to practice making sure those are solid lines. Going up that same angle that we came down. I'm looking for that consistency on my part. I do 1 down here and then 1 over here, right? Something's off. So I need to be that consistent. And it's okay if I hit both of those strikes, right? I can hit here and hit down there if it's purposeful, but right now I'm trying to stay on that line. So if they're off that line, that means I'm losing control, and that's not something I want to do. Okay, let's go ahead and put it back into our right hand, and now we're going to go 2, 5, 2, 5. So same thing but opposite. Turn your hips. 5, 2. Two straight up, right? That's a 7. Hit that. 5, 2, 5, 2. Make sure I'm blade edge, cut through my target, and then flip it over. Cut through my target and then flip. So I should flip over when my hand gets about in front of my shoulder, my opposite shoulder. Power strikes. Don't hit here, right? Don't hit with the flat edge of the blade, blade edge. Other side. 2, 5, 2, 5. Working on that same line. Try to paint that picture. It's just one smooth line. Not some crazy scribble all over the place. Work on the whoosh without a lot of power, just enough to cut that air. Something like that. Blocking, attacking, blocking, attacking. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to do this constantly. It'd be more of a 1, 2, and then something else would have to follow. But that's something you can practice too. Like back on the 5, forward on the 2. Stay in the same place. Good step and slide. Okay, a breath. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do 3, 7, 8. 3, 7, 8. 3, 7, 8. Cut that 3 line. Bring it up for the 7 and 8. Notice this 8. It's kind of like a redondo, right? Yeah. 3, 7, 8. 3, 7, 8. 3, 7, 8. I usually like to push forward with my 7, 8. Okay. Up to you. If you just want to practice this, that's fine. This with my triangle footwork, add an additional step on there. Now I want you to play around with some footwork. Right. What you do, I don't overly care. I just want you to be kind of fluid with it. You don't have to go super fast. I just want you moving around. Make sure you don't stop your 7 down here. All right, raise it up. Raise it up. Maybe you hit them. Maybe you hit them in the groin. Don't do that to your training partners. Maybe you hit them in the hand. All right, and then come down on the head. Maybe it just into the body, into the head. Boom. Right. So make sure that you're going up and not just stopping it here. Right. And that's fine, you can stop it there, but you have to do it purposefully, right? There's a lot of stuff that I will tell you don't do it, but it's okay if you do it on purpose, right? So now let's say I wanted to do that to elicit a response. Maybe my opponent thinks I'm about to hit them in the groin, and so I go, and I go real fast, right? So I'm just kind of faking this here and then going here. But usually I want to do that if I've already committed a few times, right? Boom, boom. And maybe they got good at blocking. Maybe they went boom, boom, and they got pretty good at blocking that. So I have to change my pace. So I completely fake the 7, and then I go for that 8, right? So at that point I go here and then down to break that rhythm. That's okay, right? It's okay to do these things if you have a purpose and a reason behind it. But I don't want you to just get a bad habit of doing 7, 8, right? I want you to reach up for that 7. Boom, boom. Go up to about center of your chest at least. Maybe even to your head, and then down. All right, let's go ahead and switch sides. Other hand. 3, 7, 8. 3, 7, 8. First, just work on this fluidity. 3, 7, 8. If you can, try to pick a target, cut through, hit to that target, hit to that target. I usually cut through with the 8. And I do kind of like that redondo. 3, 7, 8. 3, 7, 8. Let's stay on that same line for the 7 and for the 8. My 8 is getting a little bit wild. It wants to come out here. So let's try to keep that at an 8 and not a 1. 3, 7, 8. 3, 7, 8. If you start to feel a little bit more comfortable, you can start speeding it up, right? sure you're still on target. Whenever you're moving around too, pick a target, pick something, right? From here, I could use Bob's head as my target, even though I'm way out at this distance. Pick something and visualize cutting through. I have something on my wall over there. I can use that as my target. I've got something over there and I can identify that as my target. I want you to see these targets every time. Don't just la-di-da-di-da, I can't see anything and my angles are great and it's all perfect, and you know, see something, look at that line, look at that after image of your stick as you're drawing through it. Right, we all have that after image. Now you can practice this with that footwork however you want to. Right, practice moving around with this. Stay nice and comfortable with your feet. Don't really care if you're on a specific pattern right now. Just try to feel more comfortable moving. Okay, take a breath in and out. The next thing that we're gonna do is freestyle. So I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes and we're just going to move around, and I want you to strike any angles, anything that you know while moving. You don't have to do a specific footwork pattern, but I do want you to continuously move. Don't just sit here in place and strike, okay? Even if all you're gonna do this whole time is strike 1 through 8, do it while moving at least a little bit, right? I don't want completely still. Move a little bit. Ready? Begin. Now, it doesn't have to just be 1 through 8. It can be any strikes that you feel comfortable with. If you want to practice the stuff that we did today, you're more than welcome to do that. If you have something that you can strike on, awesome. I don't mind that. But if you are doing that, move around your target. Visualize, maybe you see somebody attacking you, you block it and you strike back, you block it and you strike back. Make sure we switch hands every now and then. Give your left hand a little bit of love. Or your right hand, you could be left dominant. I don't know that. You're probably right-handed though. All the left-handed people, go ahead and comment. Tell me, I'm not right-handed. Notice I'm not going really fast. All I'm doing is moving. Don't just go straight and backwards with your movements. Cut the angles to the side. Again, switch back to your non-dominant hand. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna recap the things that we went over today. So we started off with our warm-up. In our warm-up, we did do some of our footwork patterns, our reverse triangle, forward triangle, and our 6-pointed star. From there, we reviewed our angles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We did that on both sides. And then we learned a new technique, which was our backhand redondo strike. We started off in this really big motion, getting the circular strike down, and then we tightened it up, worked on pressing forward with it, and then even tighter with it for a little bit more speed. After that, we worked on applying our 1 and our redondo, and then followed by a 2 for that reset. And we just kind of worked on this fluidity in this bigger type of pattern. Then we went and we made it small and quick, just focusing on our 1 and redondo. I talked about kind of the combat application behind that. You notice now it's a smaller wrist flick instead of this full big strike. After that, we just practiced some striking combos, right? Some very basic ones. So we went 1, 6. We did this on both sides, and then we went 2, 5. Again, practicing this on both sides, followed by one of my favorites, which is 3, 7, and then 8. Right, practice that, and we applied it with some footwork. From there, we went and did a little bit of freestyle. And the freestyle, I literally just wanted you to practice moving your feet as you were doing your strikes. Didn't really care if you did a certain footwork pattern or a certain strike. I just wanted you to practice striking and moving at the same time. Hopefully you enjoyed today's class. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, do all that fun stuff. Tell me what you liked about the class, tell me what you didn't like. Do you like the redondo strikes? I'm a big fan of redondo strikes. Anyway, I will see you in the next class. Have a great day.